I'm Sherry Damaris. Welcome to Macro Magic. Today I'm so excited to have a guest, Dr. Ana Negrón. Welcome, Ana.
Thank you, Sherry.
She's an amazing medical doctor, and she's plant-based. So she's going to tell us all about her practice in Westchester, Pennsylvania, and she's going to demo a dish today for us.
Well, first of all, thank you for the generous offer to appear on TV with you. And you're going to be wondering, what is a doctor doing cooking?
Yes, what is a doctor doing cooking?
I did not learn this in medical school, but I was really very frustrated seeing my patients develop more and more diseases, have more and more medications that I would not really be able to take off. So I always figured food was somewhere there, and one thing led to another. I started cooking with them 15 years ago. And that's where I am today.
It's pretty amazing to meet a doctor that knows so much about nutrition and health. And I know that there's a big movement now in Washington, D.C. with Neil Barnard, who's opened a clinic where you can also take cooking classes, the Physicians Committee for Responsible Medicine. You can Google PCRM to look him up.
Well, people ask me, what's the best diet? Right? Mm-hmm. The best diet should have all the calories you need to be strong and have energy, all the nutrients, all the vitamins, but most of all, and what we really don't talk about too much, it should not add to inflammation. Mm-hmm. And that's where people really get tripped and go looking for all these diets that, yes, they drop their blood pressure, yes, they drop weight, but they add inflammation. Not so much for today, tomorrow, but in the long run, next week, next month, in 10 years. And what I, as a physician, want to do is cut back on the incidence of heart disease, diabetes, cancer, and that's what we do with a whole foods, plant-based diet.
So what an amazing thing. You go to your doctor and you start on a whole new regime of healthy eating and possibly cut out your medications or cut them down at least.
Cut them down at least, but cut them out. And that's really the brilliant thing about this, that we can be just around the corner from health. In fact, this book, Nourishing the Body and Recovering Health, which I published, is about that. It's an antidote to our reliance on pharmaceuticals. And it's about the fact that no matter how sick you are, the more you engage in a whole foods plant-based diet, the more you walk into this lifestyle, the more you can recover. So it's not about, oh, you're too sick, you're too old. Has nothing to do with that. It has to do with how much effort you put into it.
So this is your book, Nourishing the Body and Recovering Health, The Positive Science of Food. And Ana told me on break that she has taken all the photographs herself of whole plant-based foods and included recipes as well as nutritional information. What a gem to have it written by a medical doctor.
Thank you, and many patient stories, and also information on the fact that the diseases that we have in this country and in Western countries are almost unheard of in places where people eat whole foods, plant-based, or the blue zones. So it doesn't really require more self-control or more, willpower. What it requires is that you clean up your kitchen, and then you can't trip.
Just put the healthy snacks in the cabinet. That's what I always say.
Replace
the junk food in your cabinet, so when you go to look for something, grab an apple or grab some popcorn or something that's a little bit more nutritious and healthy for you than a lot of the snack foods that are out there.
We have to think in advance, and thinking in advance, what I brought here for you today is a dish that's very easy. You can make a whole bunch of it and keep it in the fridge for 5 days and eat it piecemeal or take it to work or to school, and it's Brussels sprouts with fennel seeds. So if people say they don't like Brussels sprouts, try it this way. And what we do is we cut up Brussels sprouts. I'll show you how the best way to cut things that roll is by making a bridge and going under the bridge and cutting them in like 1/4-inch slabs so that you have a larger surface to cook quickly, because the quicker you cook, the less you destroy some of the vitamins.
And also Brussels sprouts, if you keep them whole and try to cook them, take an awful long time.
They do, and then they look really not a pretty green, and they get soggy, and that's where the taste of sulfur, comes out, and people don't like that. However, that sulforaphones that are very particular to cruciferous vegetables, like Brussels sprouts, kale, broccoli, cauliflower, collard greens, they are some of the protective substances that will help our liver, that will help us protect ourselves from cancer. So we want to use them. We want to use them raw, steamed, lightly cooked, and then cooked all the way if that's the way that you'd like, throw it in a.
And what's amazing to me when I used to teach kids in the garden was that all these cruciferous vegetables were, like you said, anti-cancer. So not only are you eating them for the vitamins and minerals, but you're eating them to protect yourself down the road from cancer. I mean, that's pretty amazing.
I think that's pretty amazing too. I mean, remember, the plants give us everything we need, all the macronutrients, all the micronutrients, vitamins and phytochemicals. The only thing they don't give us is vitamin B12. That's an easy thing to just supplement yourself with a vitamin B12, 1,000 micrograms every day. That's it.
Yeah, we just came off our cruise with Colin Campbell, who wrote the book called Whole, who hopefully will be on the program soon, and he's going to talk about how whole foods have a whole different chemical reaction in your body than a lot of supplements. So eating as much whole foods as you can creates that really dynamic, influential effect on your body versus, just separating the vitamins and having vitamin A, vitamin B, vitamin C.
Such a valuable statement. And, when I say that I cook with my patients every week, anyone's invited to come. It's really just a community-based cooking. And we don't use any flour, sugar, oil, and we minimize the salt. So you say, oh my gosh, that's horrible. Well, we sweeten with dates and with raisins and with, sweet fruits. We use we fatten things, like we're going to use, the only fat we're going to use in this Brussels sprouts is fennel seeds. All seeds and nuts are very high in fat. So we use this in the skillet. So this is what we do. We cut this up. We add the fennel seeds on the skillet, warm them up until they waft delicious. Then add a little bit of water, close the lid for 5 minutes. And let them just steam there until they're...
So you're just steaming them in fennel seeds, basically.
That's it, exactly.
Very, very simple.
Just steam them
and
for 5 minutes.
And if you had heart problems, high cholesterol, if you're worried about high blood pressure, it's so good to reduce or get rid of, the excess fats and oils and things in your diet for a while, because you're cleaning out your arteries and you're giving them a break and you're supplementing them with really good wholesome foods.
And the whole food, like Dr. Campbell says. So we're using the whole food, no flour, but we use the oats, for example, or we use the wheat or the brown rice or the quinoa. So we're using them as the flour, so to speak, but we're not using just the flour, we're using the whole grain.
Yeah, so they have more vitamins, minerals, fiber. I mean, I think, all our grain companies like Post and all the cereal companies started out milling grain, whole grain, and then they started cracking grain, and then they started making flakes, and then they started making your morning cereal, and then they started adding sugar to your morning cereal. So we've gotten a way far away from eating whole grains, which are really important to the diet.
I totally agree, and we really need to own the piece of that. We said yes to all this processed and highly processed, and then not just highly processed, but adding, extractions of sugar and salt and oils, so that we are really hyper-stimulated with these foods, and we no longer taste the deliciousness of a red pepper or a carrot or an apple. We need to be,
So your
super
taste
stimulated.
buds actually change. I noticed that with the kids I taught. You know,
Yeah.
they needed more and more sugar because their taste buds got a little numb. So just moving more in the direction of eating whole plant-based foods are going to be really helpful for that.
Yes, and you know, depending on your genetics, it doesn't really mean that you're going to grow taller, but you will stave off on the diseases that run in your family, because the diseases that run in your family run through the kitchen, not through your genes. Your genes are turned on or off depending on what you eat.
And that's called epigenetics.
That's right.
They've done lots of
Epigenetics. On
studies.
top of your genes are all these turning on or turning off of disease. And the foods that come from plants are masters at keeping the bad genes turned off.
And with that, we'll come back after break and see how your beautiful dish worked out with the Brussels sprouts.
Let's do that.
Say we've got grit, and we'll take it as a compliment. Because it's our uncommon drive, our spark within, that brings us together and sets us apart. We are temple made. And when others take shortcuts, when others take breaks, when others take the easy way, we take charge.
I work 13 hours a day, 6 days a week. So when I'm off the clock, I gotta get stuff done. So when I need a snack, I need something healthy, tasty, and easy to eat. Like wonderful pistachios without the shells. They're protein-powered, delicious, and great on the go. And that's perfect for me. Thanks, Liz. A woman without a lot of time.
Whether you're a gourmet cook or just want to eat like one, visit Rostelli Market Fresh, your home for the freshest, locally sourced ingredients to please everyone who loves great food. Our organic meats, quality seafood, and free-range poultry are cut fresh to order. Chefs create culinary-inspired prep foods made fresh every day, which pair nicely with our vast selection of fine wines and spirits. Choose from handmade pastas, artisan cheeses, organic produce, and grocery items, all from the finest purveyors. Rostelli Market Fresh, from our family to yours.
RVN TV is a platform for people of any industry to share their story. Over 285,000 viewers are tuning in to RVN TV shows monthly. We guarantee a great experience that you'll be sharing with everyone you know while increasing your personal and company's brand awareness. But what is your brand? According to Forbes, it's a combination of your logo, your product, your design and feel, and your personality. Did you know that aside from being a guest, we offer even more opportunity to boost your brand? Adding your company logo and website on screen during your interview will allow viewers to recognize your brand instantly. Incorporating images and video clips is another great way to showcase your product during your live segment. Let viewers see how good you really are. And most importantly, there's you and your interview. For less than the cost of a newspaper, direct mail, or a magazine ad, you can leave our studio and within 48 hours have a permanent digital copy of your live segment to link to your social media, embed into your company website, or use in email marketing. Investing in your brand is so very important, and we can't wait to have you as a guest.
Shelter dogs aren't broken.
Hi, welcome back to Macro Magic. We're with Dr. Ana Negrón, and she's teaching us all about cooking. She has a cookbook out called Nourishing the Body and Recovering Health, The Positive Science of Food. Welcome back, Ana.
Thank you, Sherry. Thank you so much.
And we want to see how your Brussels sprouts turned out.
Well, they turned out delicious and beautiful. They still have a little bit of a green. They have the fennel seeds, and they smell so good. And now what we're going to do is simply, remember, that was just 5 minutes steamed with a little bit of water, pepper, covered up.
And fennel.
And fennel. And then now I'm going to use white balsamic vinegar Why? So that it doesn't really change the color. See, usually the balsamic vinegar that we have is dark, and it would just undo what we've tried to do, which is to preserve the green color.
So I've never bought white balsamic.
Yes.
Where do you find that?
It's not hard to find, but you have to look for it.
Okay.
Yeah. So then you just, add a little bit of it, toss it, and if you like,
smells so good.
yeah, if you like some cayenne pepper or anything else that will spice it up a little bit.
Oh, nice.
And of course, use some color, because we eat first with our eyes. Well, with our nose, and with our eyes.
And isn't that amazing? Like so many cafeterias, like kids' school lunches, they're all gray. So, they cook the vegetables so much, and then it's just these gray side dishes of potatoes and things. So it's so nice to have really bright colors in your food.
I mean, it's for the convenience of the purveyor, for the convenience of transporting it, but really, who's looking after our health? I think we have to.
For sure.
The people who come to visit me at my practice, which is one of the things that I do right now, I volunteer at a clinic for people with no health insurance. I teach family medicine residents the role of food in medicine, because few people are doing that. And then I have a practice where I transition people to a whole foods plant-based diet. I don't replace your doctor. You should keep your doctor for emergencies, for hospital link, for tests. All of that is very important. But when you come and you get a consultation, you find out how you can really clean up your kitchen. Remember, it's not about willpower, it's about cleaning up your kitchen. And then recipes and being efficient with time and having fun. Because one of the things we do with food is celebrate. We celebrate everything with food. It should be really towards health, not towards making us sick.
And the wonderful thing about plant-based food is no matter what culture you come from, there's always traditional cooking that you can look up. Italian, Mexican, Greek. And you can make it like your grandmother made it, but make it in a healthier way.
Exactly. I mean, keep the basic ingredients that make it the signature piece for your family tradition or your culture tradition, but eliminate the salt, oil, sugar, and the meat, dairy, and egg products, which, remember I said at the beginning, the best diet is the one that gives us all the calories, all the nutrients, but does not add to inflammation. And the foods that add inflammation at the top of the list are the animal-based products. So meat, chicken, fish, eggs, dairy, and then just throw in the oil and the processed foods.
And the inflammations are all the ITS diseases, arthritis, bursitis, sinusitis. And I know that oftentimes what happens in hospitals, like after people have operations, their body is so inflamed that they need a lot of painkillers. People that I've worked with on a plant-based diet, they don't require so many painkillers. So if they break their leg, they're not taking tons of painkillers to reduce that inflammation.
Think about the fact that painkillers are anti-inflammatories. So if there is inflammation to start with, that's why the painkillers are so helpful. But we should really rely more on being on an anti-inflammatory, not diet, but lifestyle. And that way then, Sherry, like you very, very aptly said, we don't need the anti-inflammatories. We rebound very quickly,
People that I've cooked for have been so amazed when they're in the hospital, they don't have to take so many pills because their bodies are just adjusting to whatever healing process they need to adjust to.
And even though, the itis, the inflammation, cystitis, bursitis, arthritis, but at the core of heart disease, at the core of diabetes, at the core of Alzheimer's, at the core of so many of our chronic diseases, which make up 70 to 80% of the things that I see in the office, costing us in this country $3 trillion a year. That's not small potatoes. So all those diseases at the core have inflammation. If there's not a diet for heart disease and a diet for diabetes and a diet for arthritis. It's the same clean, whole foods, plant-based diet. The more you move in that direction, the more you will recover health.
Yeah. It was so interesting. Dr. Esseltyn was on our cruise saying the same exact thing, that in our country we think it's heart disease that has to be cured with pills, and it's really not. It's a lifestyle, a change in lifestyle. And it doesn't have to be drastic at first. It could be slowly adding these foods and the ones that you like to eat regularly on a day-to-day basis.
Well, you know, maybe because I'm 70 now, I think it's urgent that we do it as drastic as possible. You know, it's
Quickly.
Yes, it's easier to jump in the pool than to go in gingerly, you know, adjusting to. And many people get stuck in the middle, you know, and don't go all the way. So I encourage people to, for 3 months, at 6 weeks, go 100%, and then check how they're feeling, how their body
Check
is.
your blood pressure, check your cholesterol level. I get so many calls now about my cholesterol level's so high, how can I adjust it? And just 2 or 3 weeks eating this way, you'll see a difference.
Insulin sensitivity gets recovered, blood pressure gets recovered, all these things. But if you do it gingerly, little by little, you may never really reap the benefits
results.
or see the results, and you get discouraged. So I encourage you to clean up your kitchen and go all the way for 6 weeks. And write me. www.greensonabudget.org. That's my website, and you can email me through that. You'll find some recipes and some stories and all of that.
Do you want to repeat that again for our audience?
www.greensonabudget.org.
Great, and make sure to pick up Anna's book, Nourishing the Body and Recovering Health, The Positive Science of Food, available in your bookstores and on Amazon.com. Thank you, Anna, for being with us.
It's been a pleasure.
Yes,
Thank
it's
you
such
all.
a nice. See you next time on Macro Magic.